You know that look that your staff gives you when you say, "We're going to do some professional development today," and then half the room suddenly needs that urgent trip to the copy machine? Today, we're going to fix that. You're going to walk away with some quick research-based shifts that can turn PD from mandatory misery into meaningful professional learning that your teachers might not actually hate and might even ask for more of. Let's get started. Hi, friend. Are you ready to move into a leadership position? Do you have interests and ambitions that you want to pursue, but feel like you don't know how to take that next step? Maybe you want to start your own coaching or consulting agency. I'm Mel, and I help educators define their career path through correct mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for your career transition. I will show you how to level up your leadership skills, share your expertise in a new way, create impact on a larger scale, and put your leadership in motion. As an educator for over 20 years, I started to feel underused and like I had more to give. I knew when the time had come for me to leave the classroom and affect change on a larger level. Now, I'm ready to help you determine where your talents and skills mesh with your passions and interests. Put your leadership in motion and move into that next phase of your educational career journey. Let me help you define your career path by having the right mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for that next leadership position. So power up and put your leadership in motion. Welcome back to the Empowered Educator Show. I'm your host, Dr. Mel. You know, guys, you're school leaders and you're juggling everything from buses to behaviors, maybe even your budget, and somewhere in there, you're also supposed to engineer some great professional learning that magically raises student achievement, boosts morale, and ends all hallway complaining. No pressure. The good news is effective professional learning is not about fancier slide decks or more mandated hours. It's about a small set of powerful design decisions that research keeps pointing to. Make it content-focused, job-embedded, collaborative, and sustained with real modeling, real coaching, and real feedback. Today, I'm going to give you a quick checklist to use before you schedule one more PD day. So let's jump into your PD Sanity Saver list. It's going to be 7 quick hits that is going to make your professional learning professional learning. Number 1, stop doing random acts of PD. You can't just spin the PD wheel and hope that it lands on something useful, guys. You're going to need a tight focus on some very specific content and some really good instructional practices that your teachers are actually going to be able to use with students starting tomorrow. Tie every session to a clear student learning goal and a specific instructional move, not just some vague theme, something like, say, engagement. So instead, say something like, our goal is to increase the percentage of students who can cite text evidence in writing, and this session will focus on modeling think alouds for citing that evidence during reading. If you can't finish that sentence in one breath, then your PD isn't focused enough yet. Research on effective professional development shows that content-focused learning, rooted in the actual subject matter and the pedagogy of teachers, has the strongest link to changes in practice and student outcomes. Number 2, treat teachers like the adults they are. Guys, you know that your PD is in trouble when your teachers are being talked at about engagement while sitting in rows for 3 hours. Adult learning theory says that teachers are self-directed, they're goal-oriented, and they want to solve real problems that they face in their own classrooms. So give them some voice and choice. Let them pick problems of practice, set goals, and let them co-design parts of the learning. Better yet, let them do some of the teaching. Adults learn best when the content is relevant, practical, and immediately applicable, not when they're passive recipients of those generic strategies. Number 3, make it job embedded, not like a drive-by. I'm thinking about when I went to the zoo the other day and we were on the train and we were going past some of the animal cages and you could hear the conductor or the guy in the back, I don't even know what his name is, and he was saying, and on this side, you can see the giraffes, blah, blah, blah. Teachers don't want that. If your PD only lives on random district days, then your impact is basically on a field trip or the zoo train. Effective professional learning is woven into daily work, into their planning, into their teaching, and reflecting, not bolted on to the end. Build learning into PLCs, those coaching cycles, lesson study, peer observations, and team planning times so teachers try the strategies in real classrooms with real kids. Studies on professional learning communities and that job-embedded PD show links to improved instructional practices and teacher outcomes when collaboration is ongoing and anchored in actual classroom work. Number 4, go from sit and get to do and apply. If your PD looks like that 3-hour TED Talk only with really bad lighting, then you're losing your people. Effective professional development uses active learning, modeling, rehearsal, analysis of student work, and practice with feedback. So during those professional development times, have your teachers actually practice those strategies, script questions, analyze student work, or let them co-design lessons during the session instead of just listening about it. If you have multiple sections of the same grade level, then let them work together. We only have one class per grade level, but they can still collaborate with the grade below them and the grade above them. Have your teachers bring lesson plans for next week to the PD for this week so they can plan ahead, so they can start weaving all of this great stuff into their actual lesson plans. Research consistently finds that active learning aligned to real classroom tasks beats that lecture style PD for changing teacher practice. Number 5, think microlearning, not marathons. Spoiler, your teachers' brains also have a maximum storage capacity, especially on a Friday after a long week. Bite-sized professional learning, short, focused chunks, I've told you this over and over and over, reduces cognitive overload and improves retention, just like it does for our kiddos. Replace one massive half day with a series of short, targeted learning bursts. There are so many different ways that you can do this, leaders. You can do some 10 to 20 minute PD sprints, which are embedded in staff meetings. And then teachers can apply those in between those staff meetings. If you do have a half day PD, do just a little bit of that sit and get, just like 10 to 15 minutes of giving them some information. Then let them get up and apply it. Talk to each other. Believe it or not, Kagan strategies work just as well for adults as they do for kids. So you can do some turn and talk with your staff. You can do some round robin. You can do some speed dating, whatever it is. You can shake it up a little bit. Studies on microlearning show that concise, focused learning aligned to real tasks can match or even exceed those traditional formats in effectiveness, while improving efficiency and the willingness to be engaged. Number 6, add real coaching and feedback, not just drive safely. Telling teachers, go implement this without follow-up is the PD equivalent of tossing someone a car manual, handing them the keys, and expecting them to know how to drive. You remember that movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, where Arnold Schwarzenegger learned to drive by reading the manual? Doesn't really happen, guys. Just like teaching someone to drive a car, effective professional learning includes coaching, extra support, and some structured feedback. Pair PD with coaching cycles, peer feedback, or some walkthroughs that provide specific, timely feedback on one strategy that you introduced. Research shows that high quality feedback and coaching relationships that are grounded in trust and focused on growth promote some actual meaningful PD and some real changes in instruction. Number 7, make it a series, not a one-episode special. If your PD has fewer follow-ups than a bad first date, it's not going to change practice. Effective professional development has sustained duration, multiple sessions over time, with repeated opportunities to practice, reflect, refine, practice some more if they need to. My kids learned to drive in a small town, which was great because we could go for short periods of time and they got to practice for a little while. I did not put them in a car for the first time and us drive an hour and a half away to the big city with them behind the wheel. That would have not been cool. Plan a very coherent learning timeline over weeks or months. Introduce, model, practice, implement, get feedback, refine, start it over if you have to. Review of professional learning consistently finds that ongoing sustained experiences, rather than those one-off workshops, guys, are the ones that produce lasting change in teacher practice. I would love to say that those one-offs did me some great service when I was in the classroom, but they didn't. Oftentimes, I would get back, I couldn't remember what I had learned. I certainly didn't always know how to implement it in my own context, and it kind of felt like a waste of time because I would try a few things. It wasn't successful. I didn't have anyone to ask questions of or get feedback from because it was a one and done thing, and then I just would give up. So before you approve or plan any other PD sessions, I want you to ask yourself these 7 questions. Number 1, what one student learning goal is the PD targeting? Number 2, what specific instructional practice will teachers be better at tomorrow because of it? Number 3, where in teachers' existing work will this show up? PLCs, lesson planning, coaching, team meetings. Number 4, how will teachers actively practice the strategy during the PD, not just hear about it? Number 5, how will you break this learning into smaller follow-up bites over time? I'm going to give you an example of that. Using the Teach Like a Champion book that I love so much, and I'm patting my heart because it's one of my favorites, I had my teachers pick 2 strategies that they were going to implement over the next few weeks. That became part of their real-time feedback. We would go in, look for that specific thing, one of the 2, and then we would give them feedback. So question number 6, who will coach or give feedback on implementation and how often? Some teachers need it a little bit more often than others. Number 7, when and how will teachers reflect on what worked and what didn't and then adjust? If you can't answer at least 5 of those 7 with something specific, you don't have professional learning yet. You have an event. So your action step is to revise that plan until it hits these research-backed markers. Leaders, you're not just scheduling PD. You're engineering the learning culture for every single adult in your building. When you focus on targeted content, job-embedded practice, active learning, microlearning, coaching, and sustained follow-through, you stop wasting time and you're starting to build professional learning that actually moves the needle forward for kids and teachers. I put all of the sources and the questions in a blog article, which I have linked in the show notes, so you can get all of that information. All you have to do is join my school community, which is free. And there are tons of other articles in the Empowered Educator community. Plus, there are tons of other resources. And you can connect with some amazing educators for some great conversation. If this episode gave you one idea that you can use in your next PD plan, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Empowered Educator Show. And I would love it if you would take just 30 seconds to leave a rating and a review. That's how more school leaders find this show and transform their own professional learning. Share this episode with an assistant principal or an instructional coach or another principal that you know who's tired of PD as performance art and they're ready for something better. And as always, remember to go the extra mile to motivate, inspire, lead, and empower. Have an amazing weekend. Bye-bye.